50 ways to live your time. Number 8. Being a thing in itself was paradise by Kosen Handa. Viewing or viewing space as a plane. Please note that this does not mean that we are looking at the world as a two-dimensional plane. Our viewing space includes the depth direction, so the a plane, referred to by Okosto here, means three-dimensional space. It implies that you observe your three-dimensional surroundings from a four-dimensional space since your gaze must exist in one higher dimension. We usually think of space as three-dimensional through the image of a space consisting of the x, y, and z axis. So, if we regard the plane of our field of vision as the xy plane, we conclude that our gaze toward the world follows the direction of the z-axis. However, you should notice that such a notion is based on the assumption that locates your being at a point in three-dimensional space. As I explained in detail in the previous videos, the space in front of you that you believe you are viewing forward is actually the world in the mirror. Suppose you are looking at an object in front of you. You will soon have a mental image of your physical body, the position of your head and eyeballs in front of the object, as if they all exist in the same three-dimensional space. You assume the position of yourself looking at the world and conceptualize the three-dimensional directions. Therefore, your being, your original self, which should be your forward direction or your perceptual front, does not exist in this three-dimensionality. Wasn't the true I a thing itself? Then, why did that thing need to drive I away outside of it? Needless to say, a thing cannot see itself. For a thing to see itself, it is necessary to create something that is not the thing, something external that can objectify itself as a thing. In order to create its exterior that objectifies the thing, two directions must emerge from it. An active force for the thing itself to go out to that exterior, and a passive force for it to be observed as an exterior of the thing. Of course, the passive force here is the I positioned as a mirror image. Why is it passive? Because the I does not know the thing's origin. As a human being, I can only receive things. Sometime after I was born, I realized a thing was before me. However, on the other hand, the active force somewhat knows the origin of things, because it knows it can overcome even the world of the thing in itself and cross over to the other shore. In that sense, this active power is something that I on this shore can never touch. What exactly do you think it is? Or, I should say, who do you think it is? It is the other. The other's existence played that role. Initially, the world was imbued only with things. In philosophical terms, it is the world of thing in itself. However, things could not see themselves as things, therefore, they needed to externalize themselves. There needed to be two roles to make it happen. One role is to push a thing itself outward, and the other role is to be pushed outward. The role that pushes a thing outside of itself was played by the being called the other, and the mirror was placed there. Then, the self was born in the mirror's reflection as the being that was pushed outside. Then, the self, identified with its mirror image, loses its original space in its forward direction and is trapped in the world in the backward direction, which is the reflection in the mirror of the other's gaze. Thereby, the skin of the thing's being at light speed is covered by the self's forward gaze. At the same time, the world of thing itself has been transformed into a mere material object. In this way, the other, signified as you, always exists as the one who is transcended from the thing. Meanwhile, I, that is, the self, always exists in front of the thing, alienated from it and unable to become entirely into the thing. In Gnosology, the relationship among those three is that of Orion, the true man, Sirius, the man of spirit, and the Pleiades, the human. Being a thing in itself was paradise. Then, why did Adam and Eve have to be driven out of paradise? This complementary separation from a thing in two different directions is relatively easy to visualize using the model of the intersecting cones. In this intersecting cones model, the relationship between the self and the other's visual fields and their pupils is represented by the skew relationship between the two cones' base and vertex intersecting. With this model, we can regard the self and the other's visual field space as a force transcended from a thing, and the pupil of self and the other as a force that alienated them from the thing. The reason is that we typically assume a position in three-dimensional space from our pupils, and our recognition of the presence of our pupils in such space can only be realized when the visual space of the other supports it.